I'm going to do a video on milling these heads. I'm going to have to make a fixture to hold some heads besides the small block Chevrolet that use the 90-degree bolts. You can see these bolt to this gate with the intake bolts that are perpendicular to the surface of the intake. That's how those are attached. Problem is, we've got to mill some other heads like these vortec heads, and as you can see, those bolt holes are not, disregard this is aftermarket. That ain't there on most heads that are vortex. You can see how these are not perpendicular to the surface of the intake. Makes it kind of hard to bolt it to that gate. So what we're going to do is make a template for a fixture, make an end cap that bolts on here, and I'm going to make make a piece that goes across the front of the intake with drilled and tapped holes at 90 degrees to the surface here, so we can bolt that fixture to this gate, and then this head will get bolted into the fixture. Okay, we made a template out of cardboard for the end of the head. Transferred the bolt holes. Now we've put this on this piece of plate steel and transferred the holes so we can drill those out. We'll drill those out first, then we'll plasma this thing out, bolt it up to the head and level the head on the machine. Everything bolted down in place, and then we'll tack weld it all together. Okay, we got our plates cut out, holes drilled, bolted up. You notice I left space here. This is where the milling will be taking place. So we don't want to put it in a position where you can't, where your mill's gonna, your teeth on your cutter are gonna be hitting this. These are made to cut cast iron, not mild steel. So we don't want the teeth to hit this. So we got one on each end, flush with the intake surface. Or actually, it's just a tad bit below. I left a little bit there so that to make sure that this bar that I'm going to weld across there will actually sit right up against the head. I don't want it to be spaced up off of the intake surface by this plate, and we're going to weld that anyway. So we left a little bit extra on each end. You can't weld in on the inside here because that's where the head has got to fit flush up in that corner. If you welded it, you'd have to go back and grind all that out. So we left an overhang here so we can put a real good bead on this side here. These are going to get drilled and tapped on this, in these intake ports right here, the most outboard intake ports. I could put them, it's just the place where you've got the most leeway to put a bolt through there and you won't hit anything on the head. There's nowhere else really to bolt to. Also, these vortec heads have this valve cover lip rail, so I want this to sit right up against that, and that actually spaces, this is going to space the head away from the gate when it's bolted up here, so that that valve cover lip rail doesn't interfere with the head sitting at the right angle against this. So now we're just going to tack them and double check it. Then I'll come back and drill and tap 2 3/8 bolts holes here. We use 3/8 because that's what these intake bolts use. It's just easy to keep everything the same so that you're not misplacing parts. Be back. Okay, here's the final product. We got 3/8 holes, 3/8 coarse thread, drilled and tapped here, here. Plates to go on the end of the head. This thing will just slide down on the head like that. Bolts on right there on the ends, as you can see. And then this bar here will bolt up to the gate. All right, final product. You can see we left room to build a mill the head. There's and it's bolted back here to the gate. Pretty easy to make with some basic stuff you got laying around the shop.